Thousands and thousands of years ago, there was a family of people who had this great belief in God, and for a really good reason. They believed that God could protect them and save them from anything, that God was definitely on their side, and they were right. But the time of life that I want to talk to you about them, they found themselves kind of living in a way that they didn't want to live. They were living in a place that they didn't want to be. They were having to do things that they didn't want to do. We could even go so far as saying they were captives. They had lost their freedom. Does this sound familiar? So how is it that they found themselves living in a situation that was like exactly opposite to what they believed? How is it that this belief of theirs failed them so bad? You see, they were a part of the Israelite family. And the Israelite family was this group of people that had been chosen by God to represent God here on the earth. The idea was that there would be this group of people that would represent the wisdom of God, the love of God, and the whole world would see it and be attracted to it. The only problem with this plan was it included people. And when it includes people, there is a lot of room for failure. As time went by, the Israelite people started to think, maybe God chose us because we're so special, because we're so unique, so important. And so they began to neglect what God had asked of them. They began to stop doing the things that God had asked them to do. And so God allowed this group of people, the Babylonians, to come in and take the Israelites captive. He allowed this group of people to come and oppress his chosen people. Now, all the promises that God had given before, the things like, I love you, and you guys are my first love, and you're the apple of my eye, all those kind of things were still true, but God allowed the Babylonians to come in and take his people captive. Can you imagine how confusing that must have been for the Israelites? I mean, they must have been like, oh, it's okay. We're going to be okay. God is going to come and take care of us. God loves us, and he's going to save us soon. Oh boy, I wouldn't want to be any of the Babylonians right now. When God comes and saves us, they're in for big trouble. The Lord my God is going to protect us. The Lord my God is going to save us, and we're going to be rescued and liberated from this oppression. But you see, as they lived in captivity and time started going on longer and longer, they started to realize that they might be here for a long time. They might actually have to live as captives. Where is my God? He said that he would save us, but now, when we need him, he's nowhere to be found. I don't understand how we can just be left all alone here. By God, where are you? My family is suffering and struggling to eat and being oppressed. And God is up in heaven listening to harp music. But you see, there had actually been a prophet who had tried to warn the Israelites about everything that was going to happen. However, they didn't want to listen to him. They had been wanting to listen to things that were making them feel good about themselves. And this prophet was trying to tell them that things were going to get tough. And so they just ignored everything that he had to say. He had said, Is this thing on? You are going to go into captivity, and you are going to stay there for a long time. But nobody had listened. And do you know why? Because it's a lot easier to listen to the things that make you feel good. And so when the tough times came, they didn't have the faith to get through the difficult stuff. And so Jeremiah the prophet, he came back to them after they went into captivity, and he had a different word for them. This is what he said. Make yourselves at home where you are. Make yourselves at home. Marry, have children, and then encourage your children to marry and have children too. Make yourselves at home and work for the people who have captured you. Pray for the people who have captured you. Pray for their well-being. If the things go well for this country, that things will go well for you. Don't listen to the people who only tell you what you want to hear. Listen to the Lord, because He holds the truth. Those other people are a bunch of liars. This is what God says. Only when the time comes, only when the time that I have set arrives, will you be allowed to go back to your normal lives. Only when that time arrives and not a day before. I have not lost control of my people. I know what I am doing. I know even what my plans are. My plans are for you to take care of you and to make you a part of my future. When you pray to me, I listen. When you come looking for me, if you are really looking for me, you'll find me. I'll be there, and I'll make sure you won't be disappointed. I'll turn things around for my people, and I'll bring them all to the places that they were taken from. Do you know, I think it was last week, Thursday, 4,095 people in France were given a fine for walking outside of their house when they weren't allowed to. And one of them was my wife's best friend. She just wanted to take her kids to the park, and now she was in huge trouble. You know, over the next couple of weeks, I think things are going to get a little bit tough for us. We're going to get pretty frustrated, and we're going to allow some of that blame to go onto God, and we're going to start asking, where is He? Does He even exist? Does He even care about us? Is He even relevant in my life or in my situation? I want to encourage you right now. I want to tell you that God loves you, first of all. God loves you. He's in control, and He's for you. He has not abandoned you. When things look like they're spiraling out of control, we need to remember that they're only spiraling out of our control. God still has things in His hands. He is still the only one in control. When I see the story of Jeremiah's letter to the Israelites during their time of captivity, I learn that God's nature is a gracious, loving one. It is one where He wants the best for His people, and He is going to get the best for His people. And He is always the one that is deciding what the outcome of the situation is. So as you go through these difficult times, remember that God has not left you alone. You know, the Israelites were told there that they had to do some things that had been pretty natural for them, like marry and have children and create families and work. So I want to encourage us to do some things that we used to find pretty natural too. I want to encourage you guys to keep checking in on each other. Send each other messages. Send me messages. Ask me how I'm doing and tell me how you're doing. What's going on in your world during this lockdown? I want us to come out of this stronger. I don't want us to come out of this weaker, because I know that's what the enemy wants. It's so funny how in the beginning of this year we decided that we were going to build community as our priority, and now that's the only thing it seems like we can't do. So let's fight back. Let's come out of this in a much healthier place. And to do that, we need to stay in contact with each other. We need to actively build community. So stop watching this video, put down your computer, pick up your phone, open up WhatsApp, and send a message to someone and just check in on them and tell them that you're praying for them.